Hello, hello. Welcome back to Lovely. Okay, I think we've officially crossed the point where I can no longer say Happy New Year without it feeling forced. It's mid January. 2026 is already in motion. And honestly, I can say that, mashallah, mashallah, my year is off to a really good start. I haven't hit this year is already ruined, let's start over phase yet. We're still optimistic here. And speaking of momentum, if you listened to last week's episode, that was a solo one. I talked about heated rivalry, I talked about my 2026 energy, and I teased an update about a guy that I was excited to see. So, quick update, I did go on the date, and we'll come back to that in a second. But I want to talk about today's episode. So it's a little different. We're actually doing a feed drop, which means I am sharing an episode from another podcast that I genuinely love. It's called Dating Intentionally, hosted by Talia. And I've been following her work for at least a year or two now, I believe, and organically found her through Instagram. And her dating advice is honestly a gold mine. I highly recommend to check out more of her episodes, but this one in particular is one of those listens where if you've ever thought to yourself, am I doing something wrong? Why am I not seeing results? I feel like this episode helps recalibrate your mindset without making you feel like you're broken or you're behind. It doesn't shame you, it just puts you back on the right path. So, as I was listening, I actually had this moment of relief because I realized a lot of the habits and mindsets they talk about in the episode, I already implement them. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, the heck, if it's working so well, why are you single? And my answer is that I am willingly single and I'm still dating intentionally. And, I'm not interested in being in a relationship with the wrong person just to say that I am in one. And these mindsets don't guarantee a relationship. I think they just put you closer to the right one. Okay, so in this episode, which is called How to Date NATO, the concept that she mentioned really stood out to me, right? And NATO means not attached to the outcome. And I feel like once you hear it, it changes how you evaluate your dates completely. And she also talks about something that weirdly clicked for me, and it brought me back to my university days. And thank God I never have to do accounting again. But in accounting, there is this concept of last in, first out. And basically, another thing that's a good realization is if your most recent date was a disaster, you let it erase almost every other good experience or date that you've had before. And that's just definitely not how dating works. Now, this also brings me back to my little update because it's kind of connected to the topic of how to date with NATO. So I went on the date with the guy that I was talking about, right? Our first date, good vibes, good conversation. We spent probably about 4 hours together. And then we decided a few days after to meet up again. So again, second date I thought was good as well, right? I had a good time. And I think it's important because when you're dating with NATO, the first question, and they talk about this in the episode, is it's not, is this my husband, right? It's, did I enjoy myself? And the answer for me is yes, I did. And then the second time you meet them, the question then becomes, do I want to have another conversation with this person? And when I had that second date, I thought to myself, yeah, I do want to have a conversation with this person again. Given the fact that I think I've already alluded to, we are very different. We have very different lifestyles. But for me, it was yeah, I would want to see you again. So we had our second date. And then after the following day, I did not hear from him. And honestly, I kind of had a feeling, I'm maybe it's just not aligned. And then later that night, he sent me a message. And it was a very respectful, kind message. He said he enjoyed getting to know me. He had a great time. But he doesn't think that he is feeling the thing that he should be feeling, right? And he's okay, that's where I'm at. In the moment, when I was reading that text, did it sting a little? Yeah, because of course, I'm human. But the next day, I literally I bounced back and I was fine because I am just as whole and confident and grounded as I was before I met him a week ago, and nothing was taken from me. I didn't attach these two dates to the outcome of this is my person. And I think that to me is dating with NATO in action. So with that, and again, I will do a deeper debrief into what the second date was, what really happened, what the message was on like another episode. But I really want you to listen to this episode with an open mind, whether you're dating or you're taking a break or you're frustrated or you're just, somewhere in between, right? There's something in here for you. And one more thing I want to mention is we're actually going to have Talia on Lovely in a few weeks. So I just kind of wanted to bring her to you first. And yeah, I hope you enjoy.
Welcome back to Dating Intentionally. I'm Talia. I'm sharing no-nonsense advice for navigating dating and relationships with confidence and ease. Whether you've been dating for a while or you're just starting out, I believe dating can be fun. And Happy New Year. If you're listening to this the day it comes out, it's January 2nd, and we're in it. It's 2026. And if you want to start off the year feeling grounded and clear on what you're looking for in your love life, there's still time to sign up for my Relationship Needs Masterclass, which starts on January 5th and 12th. In this masterclass, you're going to nail down your non-negotiable needs in a partner and learn exactly how to use them to vet people you're dating so you never settle again. You'll also learn how to communicate them. It's a live virtual event, and if you can't make the live sessions, there will be a replay, but only if you sign up. You can go to datingintentionallypod.com/needs to get your spot or head to the link in the show notes. I can't wait to see you there. So that's in a few days from now, but today you're going to hear from Erika Ettin. So this is the second time she's been on the show, and if you don't know Erika, she is a dating coach and founder of A Little Nudge, and if you follow her on Instagram, you know she's famous for breaking down real text exchanges from her followers and clients. Some of her posts get thousands of comments because we're all just a little bit nosy and want to, see what's behind the curtain in other people's dating lives. So today you're going to hear Erika talk about one of the biggest mindset shifts that can transform your dating experience in this year, plus her signature concept, dating NATO, which stands for not attached to the outcome. We also get into how to balance wanting a long-term relationship while also not putting pressure on every first date. You're also going to get her best tips for texting, including when to ask for clarification and how to gracefully cancel a date. And at the end, we do a text support segment where we break down a real and confusing text exchange together. As always, I love to hear from you. So if you have questions or thoughts on this episode, you can DM me on Instagram at dating.intentionally, drop a comment on Spotify, or shoot me an email at datingintentionallypod@gmail.com. Also, if you prefer to watch these conversations, you can find all Dating Intentionally episodes on YouTube. All right, let's get to it. Erika, welcome back to Dating Intentionally. I'm so excited to hear.
Thank you. I've been excited to come back.
Oh, this is amazing. Oh my gosh. Okay, I want to hear right up front, right off the top. It's 2026. Mm-hmm. What is one of the biggest mindset shifts or a behavior change that would help make the most difference for people who are dating intentionally this year?
I would say starting off by assuming that there are good people out there. Like not starting every conversation with, I hate the apps. There is no one good on the apps. What did I read someone write today that they wrote it's a wasteland. But you're also on there. So are you a wasteland? And so It's really a mindset. And I don't think people understand how much their mindset actually impacts their experience and their results. Because if you go into, let's say you start with dating apps or a wasteland, which I can't even. That is exactly what you'll find. And you'll keep finding examples to prove yourself right. Are some people terrible? Yeah, obviously. Okay. Are some people great? Yeah. I mean, more than half of people in the world are meeting their partners online now. Are they all choosing wasteland partners? No, some of them maybe. But you have to go in assuming that it will take work. And I mean, you and I are on the same page about this. You get as frustrated as I do, I think, when people come in wanting results. They don't want to put in the work. They think that somebody should just fall in the lap, and they somehow believe that there's no one good out there. And it's like,
yeah,
we need to let people win.
That's so true. I love that we're starting off with some positivity. Like, There are good people out there on the apps, in person, all around. So what's the first step to making that switch?
It's hard. I mean, it's easy to tell someone, make the switch, right? But it's hard. I mean, I can't force people to change their mindset. I think people are very tied to whatever their last experience was. So if they went on a bad date, they're very tied to this being their dating life. I have someone I'm working with right now. I told him I can't be on this roller coaster with him anymore. And I felt badly saying that. But in the last 2 months, he's been on more dates than anyone I have ever met. He puts himself out there really well. He puts himself out there productively. He uses, as many likes on the apps as he can every day. He goes to at least 3 events per month. I mean, he's probably overdoing it at this point. And he's getting so many dates. And yet, if one thing goes wrong, I got a text today saying this date I was supposed to have this weekend just unmatched me. It must be me. Woe is me. It's very difficult to be on that roller coaster. And so I would encourage everyone to remember that this is a cumulative process. It's not like I took cost accounting in business school, LIFO, last in, first out. Terrible. Anyway, I think I don't even know if I opened the book, but there's this concept in accounting, last in, first out, which is basically like the last thing in is the first thing out. And I think people unfortunately think of dating like that. The last thing in, their last date, is somehow more representative. It was recency bias. It's more representative of their dating life than the cumulative number of dates. And so I would just encourage people to remember that. I think it's important sometimes. I don't want, not everyone has to become an economist, but
thank God.
I often have clients track, if I'm working with them, they can track like on a scale of 1 to 10, how was your date? Right? Because I'll have people after 3 months say to me, well, I didn't like anyone. And I don't want to use data against people, but, I'll say, well, actually 2 of these people got an 8 out of 10. 1 got a 9 you did like people. You just forgot.
Well, I think you're not using data against them. You're using it to prove the reality of like, oh, you did meet people you liked and you actually have been going on a lot of dates.
Right.
You are meeting people.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's not easy to change a mindset, but, we do the best we can. I think you and I, we do the best we can.
Yeah, I definitely agree with like just if you get caught up in the dating is a wasteland mantra in your mind, try to pull yourself out by like, wait, how is the last person I dated? Were they really that bad or were they just boring?
Right, exactly.
It wasn't really that bad.
Have I liked people before? Have there been good people? Yes, it ended, but that doesn't mean it was a failure. It means it ended.
For sure. For sure. Well, speaking of mindset, there is a mindset that you introduced me to when I started following you way back when, called dating NATO, NATO. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us, what does that stand for?
It stands for not attached to outcome. And so
okay, what does it mean?
A lot of people go into dates and they have this outcome in mind that they want, whether that's a long-term relationship or a marriage or whatever it is. And so now they're trying to backfill this stranger, sitting next to them. I'm saying next to, not across, because studies have shown that if you sit next to each other, you have better conversations. Anyway, the stranger next to them having a coffee or a drink into, could this be the one? Could this be my spouse? And it's like, that's too much pressure on both you and your date to sort of entertain, to give a song and a dance, to answer questions correctly to a test they don't even know they're taking. And so rather, I'd like you to start at point A. Point A is, I'm going to meet a new person. That's it. Let's see how this goes. Okay. Did I enjoy my conversation? Did I have a nice time? Then point B might be a second date. Do I want to have one more conversation with this person? Not do they have long-term potential? Not could they be my potential spouse? Not could we be sitting on the couch watching Seinfeld? But more, do I want to have one more conversation? If we think of it like data points, and I'm sorry, I am analytical, every date is collecting data points. There's simply no way to collect all of the data points to tell you if that you should be married to this stranger on the first date. It's too much pressure. And then when you turn it around, you think to yourself, I can never show all of me on a first date. Someone shouldn't know if I'm going to be their long-term partner on a first date. So NATO, not attached to outcome, I try to teach people how to detach from, you can still want the thing. You can still want the marriage. Yeah. You can still want the long-term relationship. But it detaches you from being so tied to it so early in the process that anything short of that is a failure.
Okay, that's really well put. So you're saying if I'm super focused on the outcome I want very early on from the first few minutes of meeting someone, I'm probably going to be disappointed.
Of course you're going to be disappointed. They're going to say one thing that's questionable, or you're going to be like, that hair's out of place, or whatever it is. When in reality, it's like, who doesn't say one thing that's questionable sometime or that gets misinterpreted? You don't know each other yet. And who doesn't have a hair out of place? And who this and who that?
Right.
And so, yeah, it's almost lowering the stakes for what you want. A nice conversation is a successful first date. Even if you don't like them, even if you never see them again, you learning about a new coffee shop in the area can be a successful first date in its own way. So it's also allowing small wins in there. Like maybe they'll be a business partner. Maybe they'll be a pickleball partner. Maybe they will, be a date for a friend of yours. Most of the male friends I have in my life are people who over probably the last 20 years, I've gone on a few dates with and liked them enough to keep them in my life, but not for a romantic purpose.
Right.
That's
it's
not
like letting
a failure.
it play
That's
out.
a success.
No, it's
collecting good people is a success.
That's so true. Okay, so you mentioned earlier you can still want that. You can still want the long-term relationship, marriage, family, whatever you are trying to go after. So tell us more, like, how do you balance those two things? The reason I'm dating is to get into a long-term relationship, but I'm also not attached to that. So how does that work?
Right. People ask me all the time, and it's actually perfect that I'm talking to you about it, because they ask me, how do you date intentionally while also dating NATO? And to me, those are sort of two sides of the same coin. Like, they're not mutually exclusive. So when someone asks me, how do I tell someone I'm dating NATO? You don't actually tell them. It's not a relationship type. It's a mindset. And so dating intentionally, to me, that's your whole name. I'm curious to know what it exactly means to you. But to me, dating intentionally means putting yourself out there efficiently and productively. It's not waiting around to see who shows up. It's going on the apps. It's making sure your profile is putting your best foot forward. It's making sure your pictures are doing you justice. It's making sure your written prompts actually have some thought involved in them rather than just like a quick 5-minute thing. Right. Making sure you're writing to people. I have people go on for 15 minutes and 15 in the morning and 15 minutes in the evening. It's going to, I suggest people go to 3 events per month, a speed dating and then maybe 2 other events of their choosing. Talking to people out.
Right. I would say yes, and it's aligning your actions with what you ultimately want. So if your outcome is you want a relationship, so you are doing your best to show up as someone ready and willing to be in a relationship, which is also in how you are acting. So like, yes, you're going out there, and when you're talking to people, you are being authentic. You're asking questions, you're showing interest, you're being open and vulnerable. All the things you need to do to get into the relationship you want. So that's my add-on.
Yeah, very well said. I think that's great. I think the combination of those is the perfect explanation of what dating intentionally is. But you could be doing all of those things, showing up for the relationship you want, putting yourself out there. But you can still have the mindset of, I don't need to know everything on date number 1. And if things don't work out exactly how I want them to, all is not lost. It's okay. You were okay before and you'll be okay now.
To me, that is the key to dating NATO while dating intentionally, is like, you are good on your own right now. You're fine. You don't need this first date to turn into walking down the aisle.
Usually being very attached to an outcome manifests itself in one of 2 ways. 1, trying to assess whether this person is the one and deciding no after the first date. Or 2, getting too attached. So I'll occasionally have people either fill out a survey or just write some notes to themselves that they send to me about how their dates went. And I have a couple examples on both sides where people sort of got too attached to the outcome and made, in my opinion, premature decisions. So one, she said, she was a little long-winded, sorry. She said, he told me he had a great time and we texted all the way from leaving the bar until we got home. ! There was a lot that I do like about him, but I'm not sure if this is really an ideal match. We have a ton in common and he would be great to do things with, and I do need some new people in my life, but I didn't really feel much sexual attraction. I think he would be a great friend, but probably not my ideal partner/husband. I'm really disappointed. I truly thought there was potential. Maybe I should take a break from dating. Nothing seems to be working.
When I hear people go from like, this date was good, I didn't have sexual attention to, I should take a break from dating, I'm like, how did you get there?
I don't know. I mean, that is the perfect example. I mean, I know who the client is. I'm picturing her. That's the perfect example of everything we just talked about. First of all, it was a great date. In my opinion, she'd be silly not to go on a second date with this person, right? Sexual attraction in a very bright fluorescent coffee house is impossible. And here's the thing. You go on a second date. Let's say you get there and you're like, oh my God, I was right the first time. Not for me. Now at least there's no question mark. Okay. Or you go on the second date and you're like, actually, yeah, I am more attracted to this person, seeing them on multiple occasions. There's no harm. And then, yeah, attributing one date that was good to your entire dating life, maybe I should take a break.
It makes me sad.
It makes me sad too. I was baffled. And then another one I want to read on that sort of side is, she said, and these are not all women making this determination, but these two examples are. She said, he's smart, handsome, and a good conversationalist, but would he be able to keep up with me hiking, skiing, traveling, etc.? I don't think so. None of it his fault, of course, but it's disappointing. Onward and upward.
How do you get that?
Right.
From one date?
I don't know. And she was in her 60s. And so I think she was making a determination about his fitness level. We just don't know anything.
My rule of thumb has always been, if you enjoyed the first date, just go on the second date, even if there are question marks. If you had a good time, just like get more information.
I totally agree.
Either way.
I mean, here's what you should ask yourself. Did I have a nice time? Did I feel comfortable? Did I feel safe? Was this person interesting? Were they reliable? Were they kind? Did I feel good about myself with them? And what you just said, am I curious enough to have one more conversation? That's all you need to know.
Right, that's it. And so, I love how dating NATO does really.
And then on the other side,
that's a huge part of it.
We had one. I mean, this is an extreme example. Erika, this is who I have been waiting for. He checks all my boxes, which I know we've heard before. It was worth the wait to find my person. I don't even need to read the rest. And that's after one date.
That's after one date?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And so I just want everyone to just take a step back. Remember, it's one date. You can't know everything about somebody else. Honestly, you'd be freaked out if they thought you were their person after one date, right? And so, it's just like a job. Let's say you're at your job for one day. No one really knows how you perform yet. You don't even know how you can perform yet, right? And so let's say there's two levels. Level A is where you start, and level B is like the expert. Mm-hmm. Nobody should promote you after one day, nor should you be promoted after one day, even if you kill it on that first day. And when we think about it like that, we realize, oh, okay, there has to be some sort of period of time where you get to know somebody.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So listeners, just know next time you have a first date, which I hope is soon, I hope you get a date this month in January, just go into it being like, okay, all I'm looking for is if I want to go on another date. That is it. End of story.
Right. I wouldn't ask pointed questions on the first date. To try to fill out this checkbox. I hate checkboxes. Or to try to determine somebody's long-term potential. Because believe me, if something's going to come out, it'll come out. Like, if someone wants to bash their ex, it won't take you asking about their last relationship for them to bash their ex. If somebody is one way politically, it will not take you asking for them to very vocally share their political beliefs. If it's important enough.
That's so true.
And so rather than asking premature questions, I'd rather you listen and just see how the conversation goes.
I have an example of this. Yeah. Like, I kept running into men who just drank a lot, and I did not like that. It's just not part of my lifestyle. And some of them are just like, why are you having 3 drinks every time we meet? And it's like, that's the kind of thing that you notice on the first date. They're like, okay, well, I still had fun though, and I still like them. And then you just, by date 5, it's very clear. It's like, okay.
That's a pattern.
Like this. Yeah, that's a pattern. I didn't have to ask that.
Right, exactly. You don't have to ask. And that's not to say it's bad. Somebody might like that. But it's you're collecting information and deciding maybe that's not the lifestyle for me. And that's fine. Exactly. Now, let me add to that, totally off topic, not off topic. You didn't ask this. But when you decide to decline that 6th date because you decide we don't share a similar lifestyle, probably for other reasons than the drinking, do not tell him why. Because, 1, nobody should be taking feedback from the very person who doesn't appreciate the thing that somebody else might appreciate about you. And 2, it's rude, right? So simply say, we're not aligned. Thank you so much. I had a great time. Best of luck.
That's what I said. That's what I said in those situations. I won't lie, though. The ones who drank a lot, I sometimes wish they would ask me why so I could tell them. It didn't happen, but I'm just like, like you just drink way too much, right? Like, but who am I to say?
I guess one person's too much is one person's regular. I mean, that sounds like a lot to me too, but you and I are also very petite.
So, okay, we did have some questions from listeners about dating NATO, and this came up a lot. What is the difference between this and like just seeing what happens or casual dating?
I see casual dating as more, I mean, people use casual and sexual a little bit synonymously. They also use the word fun sometimes synonymously with casual or sexual. So I don't consider dating NATO casual dating at all. You can still want the long-term relationship. You can still want to get married if that's what you want. But again, it's detaching from every situation, having to know immediately if this person is going to fulfill that role in your life. So it's not casual dating, but it is sort of seeing how things go.
Yeah, people get so triggered by that. Like, I want to see where things go when they're discussing kind of what they're looking for. But I don't think that that is a horrible thing to say. That is literally the process of dating, is just seeing if it's a match.
Well, exactly.
Because you don't know from square
one. A lot of
one.
people get annoyed when someone asks them on the app, what are you looking for? And I tell them to say something like, ultimately, you know, I'd like to meet people I connect with, but ultimately I would like a long-term relationship. But that's not going to happen on day one. I don't tell them to say that down the line on day one. But.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no.
But I understand it is triggering for people to hear, let's see where things go, because that is often code for people who don't want to commit. I can't like sugarcoat that.
I know. No, I agree. I agree with you. But it's like whenever I cross paths with the let's see where things go person, I like to advise people, and maybe you disagree, to just like maybe dig a slightly deeper. I was just going to say that. Like go where?
Right. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, so you can do that if you run into one of those. You don't have to run for the hills on that one.
Well, also, at what point is someone saying, let's see where things go? Is it on date 2 or is it on month 7? Because month 7, let's see where things go, is problematic. Date 2, fine.
It's okay. So, okay, we kind of covered like some of the practical tips for dating NATO, like going into the first date, what your mindset should be. But on like kind of a self-work level, what are some things people can do if they're maybe not dating right now, but they want to adopt more of that detachment?
Good question. And to be clear, I don't want people to detach from their feelings. Like, if you like someone, I think that's great. In fact, I encourage someone to say, I like you, or I'm having a great time. So I want to be clear, like, you can have feelings. You should have feelings. Like, that's not what I mean by detaching. But so ask the question again, mindset?
Like, what is some self-worky kind of thing that people can work on if they're not dating? If they're kind of taking a break, or if they just don't have any dates lined up to practice this, what's something they can just remind themselves?
I would make sure you have a great network of friends. I would make sure you have a great support system. Nobody can make you happy. In fact, that's too much pressure to put on somebody else in your life. No one person can fulfill all of your needs, nor should they, right? So I would try to make sure you have a life that you feel good about living before you start dating, or simultaneously with dating. I want to make sure you have a friend you can call to go out with. I want to make sure there's not this big gaping hole in your life that you feel desperate to fill because you don't have other outlets or opportunities. And so I understand that it might feel lonely if you're looking for somebody, and that's a normal feeling. But I don't want it to feel like this all or nothing. If I find somebody, I'm happy. And if I don't find somebody, you're not. Because you know that expression, wherever you go, there you are. If you're not happy on your own, I truly don't believe you can be happy in a relationship. That some of that has to come from within, as hokey as that sounds.
I mean, look, we're both very into analytics and data and stuff like that, but I agree with it. I agree. I don't think that is that hokey. Like, I think there is a level of maybe you don't need to be fully healed. Right. You don't need to fully love yourself, but I think you need to have some kind of satisfaction, contentment with your single life to be able to date NATO well.
I agree. I had a client once, and he said to me he told me all of these activities he couldn't wait to do with a partner. And I said, well, do them now. And he's like, well, no. And I said, well, what are your current hobbies? Well, none. I'm working on it. And I said, what are you going to talk about on dates then? If you're just waiting to do stuff with a partner. Right. So I told him to get a hobby. And I said it nicely, obviously. I think he started bird watching, which is more of a solitary hobby, whatever. It's a hobby. And so that's a mindset thing. A few other mindset things. I have one on a Post-it note here. I had a client recently come to me with all of the reasons she wasn't a good dater. All of the reasons she wasn't ready, all of the reasons things would not work out, which I'm sure you hear all the time too. And it was interesting because I'm looking at her and she's objectively successful, beautiful, all of the things. And so her first one was, I'm boring. She said that. And I've heard people say that before. And her next one was, I don't have a big friend group. Her next one was, I'm too old. She was 34. And her next one was, I don't have enough dating experience. I'm reading these because it was a significant call. Like I do a lot of coaching sessions and I could write a Hinge profile in my sleep. I'm not usually self-promoting, but I felt like I changed her life in this session. And it really is significant to me. It was like a month and a half ago and I still feel it. So I wrote this down and I came up with this exercise just on the spot. So I said, okay, you're telling me you're boring. I want you to name 3 things you're an expert on that you could just talk at length about. And she said, well, the Middle East. And I said, okay, great, amazing. I didn't push, what exactly. Yeah. And then she said the geography of a certain city she had lived. And I'm like, that's cool. And then she said redecorating homes and Marvel movies. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, those are 4 things I could not speak to. None of that sounds boring to me. And she was like, oh, I guess you're right. And then the not big group of friends, I told her to name 3 friends she could call right now. And she said her cousin, who's her friend, a guy at work, and her friend from high school. I said, okay, so you might not have a ton of friends, but you have deep friends. And then we talked about her being 34, which I said to her, I'm like, objectively, that's young. But I didn't want to poo-poo her concerns. So yes, I said,
it's a real concern.
Because she wanted to get married 6 years ago, And I said, so tell me what you have done between 28 and 34 that you couldn't have talked about 6 years ago. Like, what makes you a better, more well-rounded person now? And she said, well, I worked in Jordan for a year. And I'm like, well, that's incredible. I guess that's how she knows about the Middle East. She took a trip to Thailand. She became an aunt. She got her mom through lung cancer. She helped her friend who was diagnosed with ADHD and all these other experiences. And I said, you, at 34, are such a much more interesting person, a more well-rounded person than you could have been before. And then lastly, not enough experience in dating. She was in a very long-term relationship. And I said, you have relationship experience that other people don't have. You traveled to a new country and dated there. That's experience. And you have work relationship experiences. Like every relationship is an experience, even if it's not romantic. And I said, every new relationship anyway is its own entity. And so no one actually has relationship experience in that new relationship.
So true. I never thought about it like that.
And so once we passed those, I felt like, I don't know, I felt like I saw the weight lifted from her and she was walking around lighter and she was feeling more confident. And it just, I don't know, it was a way to get her out of that limiting mindset. I'm too this, I'm not enough this. Nobody's enough anything and everyone's too something, right? But we all have such things to offer the world that we don't notice in ourselves because we're hanging out with ourselves all day, right?
I know. That's what I was thinking too. It's like, yeah, of course you're boring to yourself. You're with yourself every second of your life.
Exactly. So nailed it. Okay.
I love it. Yeah, no, that's amazing. I want to put those questions in the show notes if you're open to it.
Oh, absolutely.
For people to use if they're feeling stuck. Because I feel like remembering like who the fuck you are and what you've been through and what you bring can be so empowering. I agree. And I love that you shared that.
I'm curious about you. What are 3 things you're an expert on? Not this, obviously.
I mean, Taylor Swift.
Oh my God, I love this.
Easily.
A new album, yay or nay?
I love it. I love a happy, horny album.
It is happy and horny. I give it that.
Happy. Yeah, I was happy with it. I think just skiing in America. I don't know if that's like a topic, but I've been to like most of the major resorts in America, some internationally. And I would say, what's the third one? Oh, cooking.
Oh, perfect.
I mean, I'm a cookbook author, so I know a lot about cooking.
Amazing. That's perfect. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I know. I love it. I love this exercise. I really appreciate you sharing that, but I want to move on. I want to talk about texting. So let's take a quick break and then we're going to get into some texting tips because you are full of them. All right, welcome back. So Erika, your profile is full of screenshots of real conversations that your followers and clients have on dating apps. And you do such a great job breaking them down.
You.
So like each one has hundreds of comments. It's crazy.
Hundreds, sometimes thousands. It's baffling. It's incredible.
Why do you think that sharing these real life conversations is so helpful to people?
Well, first, people are voyeurs. Who doesn't want to read someone else's conversation? Are you kidding me? We're all voyeurs by nature, right? So if you get a glimpse into someone else's life, oh my God, it makes you feel good about yourself.
It's like we're all on the sidelines eating popcorn, just like watching these conversations.
Exactly. And so first and foremost, people just like to read other people's stuff. It feels like you get a glimpse into someone's life. But I think second, nothing is ever cut and dry. Nothing is black and white. So it gives people a chance to read things with their interpretation, with their biases coming in, with their experiences, clouding their interpretations. And it's really interesting. I try to read things as objectively as possible, where there is no right or wrong. I try to at least allude to a right or wrong just to give people some guidance. Sometimes there is a very clear right or wrong. But no, I think people just like reading other people's stuff. And how often do we get to comment on other people's texts? Never. So people love it.
Yeah, it's amazing. And everything you share is so nuanced. Like what you mentioned, it's like nothing's cut and dry. And I think that's something we struggle with dating a lot. Like they're really, like some of the things we talked about are cut and dry, but most of the time it's not.
Most of the time it's not. And most of the time, like unless it's extremely obvious, I try not to tell people exactly what to do. I'll say, well, this is what they mean by that. Or this is how I might interpret it. But ultimately, you have to do what's best for you. Again, unless it's cut and dry, in which case I will tell you to cancel a date or not to see this person anymore.
So can you tell us kind of what is the Erika version of what canceling a date that's planned looks like or sounds like?
Well, it depends on how many days before, whether you're still talking in the app.
Okay, here's the scenario. It's a second date, and after the first date, we were chatting more, we were texting, and I kind of changed my mind. I'm not feeling it anymore. I just don't think I'm not interested anymore. But we have the second date.
Okay, I'll first start to ask you, are you just getting cold feet? Is there an actual reason you're starting to change your mind?
Let's say maybe I'm seeing someone else and I like them more and I just want to focus on them.
Is that the truth? Or is that what you're going to tell me? I know you're making it up.
Yeah, but I guess that's one example of one you would want to cancel. And I've done that. I've done that.
If that is in fact the truth and not just a line you're going to use to try to be nicer to this person because it ends up not being nicer.
No, it's the truth. In this scenario, it's the truth.
Then I would have you text and say, hey, thanks again for a great first date. I know we have a second date scheduled, but in this short period of time, I've actually gotten closer to somebody else and I'd like to see how that goes. But, I wish you nothing but the best.
Okay. So you think it's okay to say kind of I'm going with someone else?
Okay. Especially that early on.
I think I think in the scenarios I've been, I think I have done that, like in the first 3 days or so. And that has been said to me as well.
It's very early on.
Or what if they say something in text? What if they make it sexual after the first date?
That's what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah. So what do you do in that situation?
I'm not really comfortable with that. So I think we're looking for different things. I'm going to decline the second date or I'm going to pass on the second date.
Okay.
Thanks again.
Okay. You make it sound so easy, Erika, but it's so scary to text someone this directly.
It is scary. But you know what's scarier? Not expressing yourself or staying with something too long, even though your gut tells you it's wrong. Or trying to protect someone else's feelings because then you're betraying yourself. And you didn't say you're disgusting, you're sexual. You said we're looking for different things. We're not aligned, whatever it is. That makes me feel uncomfortable. I love saying that makes me feel uncomfortable because it's the truth.
Yeah. And how do people... How have your, when you with your clients?
Oh, they're going to argue. Oh my God, I didn't mean it that way. Oh, you have no sense of humor. It only proves what you already knew.
Right. Yeah, I think people are scared of the reaction sometimes when they are being that direct. Like, oh my God, what if they get mad or what if they get rude? That's okay. You block them. Yeah, it's okay. It sucks.
Of course it sucks.
In the moment, but you block them for sure.
I know I share sometimes the worst. Most people take things graciously if you are gracious in how you tell them.
I have one post pinned to my profile that's anti-ghost text, and those are real screenshots from people, and they're all graciously, like the people responding are just like totally cool about it. And that was my experience as well. The worst I ever got was like an okay.
Right. Which, okay, whatever.
Yeah, that's fine. It's like a little passive-aggressive okay, but it's fine.
Is it passive-aggressive or is it just like not engaging, because I wonder, there's a little bit of an ego thing there, because, oh, you don't care that I just rejected you? You should care a little. That's just a little ego thing.
I think it's like, okay, whatever. Like, I don't know. But yeah, ego is so wrapped up in all this stuff,
of course.
too.
I'm not saying you have an ego. So I'm just saying in that case, no. However someone responds is how they respond. We already made our choice.
Right. So, okay, I think for people listening, it can be really hard to tap into the Erika voice, the direct, the kind and direct, because also you're in the moment, you feel like the urgency to respond to some people sometimes, like you don't feel like you can just let it sit. So what are your reminders for people? Like, how can we tap more into our Erika voice?
I would think to yourself, what do I actually want to say to this person? And then you can probably just say that. As long, again, okay, here are my rules: tactful, kind, honest. Not honest like your breath smells, but honest like I don't want to see you anymore. Like honest, maybe not in those words, but I just don't feel the connection I'm looking for. I think saying that is so beautiful, because connection could mean anything. It could mean physical. It could mean emotional. It could mean anything. And so I believe that saying, I just didn't feel the connection I'm looking for is quite honest, because you are not leading them to believe there's a chance.
Yeah, I've had people like try to fight back on that, but it's like you're not really... Yeah,
and I've had people ask me, what does that mean? And I'll say, I don't know. Right. But to be honest, I would rather, I don't know what that means to the other person, but it does mean they aren't going to see you again. And that's really all you need to know. Because I've had people try to analyze what that means. Did I say something? Did I do something? Am I not pretty enough? Am I not interesting enough? We could go down that rabbit hole. And they say they want the honesty, but you don't. I would rather you be wondering, because it probably really had nothing to do with you. It's just how the other person felt or didn't feel.
Right. It's their preference.
Their preference.
Yeah. It does nothing to do with you.
Their cup of tea. They like coffee. Whoop-de-doo,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know how many texts you read per week, per day, but it's just a few. Where do you think people are tripping up the most with
just in texting in general? There's too much texting and too much reading between the lines. And I'd rather you just go out on a date if you're not sure. If you need clarification on something, ask for clarification. Oh, what does that mean? I didn't quite follow that. I mean, I'm the queen of asking for clarification, because sarcasm doesn't hit me. I don't know if people are being sarcastic. I'm sorry. If you don't smile, I just can't tell if you're joking. And so I ask at least 3 people a day, are you being sarcastic? And so it's okay, because I'd rather not assume.
It's so funny because my husband only speaks in sarcasm.
I can't.
And I've had to learn how to...
I have such a difficult time with it. And so
it's easier when they only speak in sarcasm.
It's easier when you know a person, obviously. I have friends who are sarcastic who I now understand their language. But anyway.
But in a dating context. Okay.
Yeah. You can say oh, what do you mean? I love a what do you mean? If you actually don't know what somebody means. Because sometimes I'll get people asking me, what does this text mean? And I'll say, I don't know, ask them. I can guess what I think they mean, but ultimately, I do not know.
I think, in the beginning, especially when you're getting to know someone, if you don't know if they're a sarcastic person, if you don't know their humor, be like, hey, what did you mean by that? Oh, can you just clarify what, that's a fine text to send.
And here's what I wonder. Why are we so scared to clarify something with the very person we supposedly like so much? Why are we afraid of the same person we're excited about? Does that make sense?
I think because it's a pause and a connection, even though it can make you feel more connected when they do offer clarity on whatever they're saying. I think it's you're pumping the brakes on the banter. You're kind of wait, pause for a second. What do you mean?
Yeah, I think it's that. I think it's, we're scared of how they're going to react to, God forbid, you clarifying something. You can always turn it around and say, wouldn't you want someone to ask you what you meant rather than assume?
Right. So see, I'm using your mug right now. It says ruthlessly pragmatic. That is a ruthlessly pragmatic response.
Thank you very much.
Wouldn't you want the same thing to be done to you?
Most things that we want to do or say or ask, if we turned it around, I get a lot of we're not texting between dates. I'd really like some more texting. If someone said to you oh, how would you feel about texting a little more between dates? You could say yes or no, but you wouldn't be upset that somebody asked, right?
Right. Question. Do you think you can say the wrong thing to the right person in this whole texting realm? Okay.
I know people say you can't say the wrong thing to the right person.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, you could say something really mean, and that would be the wrong thing to any person. You could put them down.
Right.
You could make fun of them. in a way that's not funny, yeah, I definitely think you can say the wrong thing.
But when it comes to like asking for clarification
in that case, I don't.
Being direct and honest, and if you're kind about it and not, passive aggressive or explosive or whatever, yeah, like you're probably okay.
I think so. And I think people will respect you more when you ask for clarification on something or when you speak your mind. You don't need to be cool.
The right person will.
You don't need to be cool. Don't be cool.
No, don't be cool. In 2026, we're not cool about dating. We're dating in NATO. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, but I want to get into a text support that we have. I
can't wait.
Okay, welcome back. Okay, so usually we do a dating dilemma at the end, but we're going to do a text support, which is a segment I sometimes have on the show when people send confusing texts. And I'm like, what better person to do this with?
Thank you.
So we're going to read this text that was submitted by a woman, and I'm going to read the guy.
Okay, so we'll role
and you're
play.
You're going to read the girl who, yeah. And this is like a little bit long because they were a little wordy, but stick with us. Okay? So before we get into this conversation, just know this is what the woman added with this text exchange. As requested, here's a confusing text exchange. This guy and I were off to a consistent start, good momentum on Hinge. He got my number, had a brief phone call, then a good first date, after a week, and then he started being slow on replying and, quote, got busy. We are now here. Our first date was 3 weeks ago. So I'm starting with the guy. Sorry I didn't get back to you last night. It was a little busy for me. What kind of ice cream is your favorite? My day has been good. This makes been a little more busy than I prefer, but I am getting through. Haha.
A favorite ice cream? Not sure. I can choose just one. Winky face. I love anything chocolate, cookies, and cream, mint chip, or peppermint. Candy cane ice cream in December is where it's at. Haha. What has been keeping things busy for you?
Those are great choices. I also love candy cane ice cream. Chick-fil-A has a really good peppermint shake they do seasonally. Oh, lots of things keep me busy. Haha. Work, friends, family, studying, football.
You like that shake too? It's so good. The perfect combo of peppermint with a dash of chocolate chips. There's a gelato place I love in Holiday that did a candy cane flavor last December and a gingerbread cookie one too that I am hoping they bring back this year. Pure joy. That is a lot of things keeping you busy. Haha. To be honest, I felt a little unsure lately if you were still interested.
That gelato place sounds awesome. I'll have to check it out. I'm sorry if that made you feel unsure. I sometimes pull back from dating a little when I feel like I have a lot going on. Please don't take it personal. Smiley face. How's your day starting off?
Life can be so busy sometimes and have a lot to balance. Yay, adulting. Totally been there. I get it. After our date, you had mentioned wanting to go out again, and I would like that. I just haven't known how to gauge things lately. My day has been a bit wild with impatient clients. I wonder if they're impatient or impatient. Anyway, huge project and a sick dog. Can we just skip the last day, work day, and go straight to the weekend? I hope your day has been great.
Hi, Amy, smiley face. I did mention wanting to get together again, and I would still like to, although feeling a little overwhelmed right now with life. I think I'm just going to allow myself to chill for a bit. We can still talk if you're up for that, and then revisit getting together again in the future. What are your thoughts about that?
Hi, Drew. Sorry to hear life is a bit rough for you right now. You know I would like to see you again, but just talking feels close to pen pal territory. I'm the woman you date, not the one you just chat with. Winky face. Why don't you reach out when you're ready to get together and we can see where things are at then.
That sounds like a good plan. Until then, I wish you well.
You too.
Erika, what are your thoughts on this exchange?
Well, I don't think it's a surprise or a secret to anybody that he's not interested. I think he was interested on the first date, but there was no urgency, and she knew that. Nobody lets 3 weeks pass by without even mentioning a second date if you're interested in going on a second date. If you truly were and you were truly that busy, you would set expectations by saying, I am having a crazy next 3 weeks, but I just want to let you know I'm really interested in seeing you again. Please have patience with me and I'll reach out then. That is a way to actually indicate interest and then follow through. But somebody just blowing up your texts for 3 weeks after a good first date already tells you they're not making the time for you. I don't believe in doesn't have time. I believe in doesn't make time. I don't think you would have any different interpretation, but please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no. You're absolutely on point. I want to get into some of the details here because I think one thing I noticed in this exchange is like there are two conversations happening at once, which by the way, as a person who texts, I hate that.
Oh, like the ice cream and what is so busy?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sure some people listening don't mind it. For me, I cannot stand that at all. I want one conversation at a time.
You got it. Okay.
I'll do it.
Not if I ask about ice cream and your day.
Can we? I hate ice cream. No.
I don't like mint chocolate chip. I am not on board with that. Anyway.
No, but I'm just saying that was interesting because I think that could easily be interpreted as, oh, we're talking about something.
I agree.
Oh, we're chatting. And she left the door open for him to
let's get there.
Take her up on a gelato date.
Yes.
Okay.
I think she handled herself beautifully. I only have one correction at the end, which is that she left the door open. I would not have.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't have recommended it. I think she did everything beautifully. I love where she asked him, I felt a little unsure lately if you were still interested. I thought that took such courage. I probably would have asked a week sooner, but I love that she asked that. One of my favorite ways to ask is, I can't tell. You had mentioned on our first date, kind of like she did later, you were interested in a second date. I can't tell from our texts if that's still the case. And then she did basically do that. She said, you had mentioned wanting to go out again, and I would like that. I just haven't known how to gauge things. I think she did beautifully.
That's so
She
good.
made herself vulnerable. Yes. She expressed that she was interested. It wasn't passive aggressive, like, when are you asking me out again? It was simply, I don't understand what's happening here. I like you, but I can't maintain this texting relationship. Okay?
Perfect. I agree. Really well done. And I think, I love the way she put that. And she's also she's being friendly. Yeah. She's not coming off as, she's not attacking or anything.
No, I thought she did a beautiful job. Again, the only thing I would change is when he said, we can still talk if you're up for that, and then revisit getting together in the future, I would have nipped that in the bud, because history will repeat itself and this is what will happen again. And so I think she, again, did a beautiful job. I kind of like that she said, feels like pen pal territory. I'm the woman you date, not the one to just chat with. I thought that was funny. I don't know if she was saying that funny for his benefit or for hers. I don't really care. I thought it was kind of funny. Was it necessary? No.
That was something I kind of was sticking on of like, that's more of something you show, not tell. But like, I get it. It's like, you don't have to like stick it to people like that. I don't think she was, but
I think she was trying to stand up for herself and whatever is fine.
I don't know if she needed to in that moment. It's like standing up for yourself is just closing the door.
I completely agree.
Like, that's a showing, not the telling. But okay, like it's not the worst.
The only thing I would change is, why don't you reach out to me when you're ready to get together and we can see where things are at then. That's leaving the door a little too open. That's like a little more of an ajar. It's like halfway. And so I would have recommended, had she asked me what to say, I would have said the same thing. Sorry to hear life is rough, whatever she said, whatever nicety. And then while I appreciate that, I'm looking for more consistency, or I'll have to pass on talking, but
on chatting.
Hope things clear up for you.
Another red flag on his side that I noticed is when he was talking about what he's so busy with, he listed many things. If someone's mentioning more than one thing, it's that's like a very clear sign they're not interested. Usually, if they're interested, they're going to say one main thing that's really clogging up their time.
Friends, family, studying, football. And he didn't ask her a question back.
True. Right. Exactly. And he was asking some questions.
Yeah, no, he asked
but I think, and she did a really good job setting up the gelato date. I like that. She gave him a very clear opening. It's like, oh, we could just go together to this gelato place.
I think she already knew the answer. She did. But I respect that she asked. That's it. I respect that she asked. I would not keep the door open for him, because he was never going to say no to her until she asked. He was just going to keep up this pen paling forever.
So true. And it looks like he's down. Yeah, that's what he wants.
That's what
he literally said he wants that.
He's bored. So here's the thing. If you keep answering, this is not them like using you or anything. This is you being too available for somebody who is not, showing you that they're interested in seeing you again. So look, at least it only took the 3 weeks. Would I have said after a week, maybe a week and a half, hey, I know you had mentioned a second date. I can't tell if that's something yes, I would have.
Yeah.
But okay, so it took her an extra 2 weeks. Big deal.
All right, fine. Yeah, next time do it earlier. Erika, this has been an amazing conversation. I love everything you shared. You're really setting us up for success in 2026. So thank you so much for being here. Where can we find more of you?
Well, anywhere on the internet at A Little Nudge is fine with me. My website, Instagram, just anything at A Little Nudge, or Google Dating Coach Erika, or really, I'm very easy to find.
Yes. Well, we'll link that in the show notes. And thanks again. This has been so fun.
Thank you.
So what did you think? What were your biggest takeaways? Drop a comment below if you're listening on Spotify, or shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'm dying to hear from you. I personally loved Erica's reminder that a nice conversation is a successful first date, even if you never see that person again. That just takes the pressure off so much. When you go into a date, asking yourself, do I want to have one more conversation with this person instead of, could this be my future spouse? Everything feels lighter. I also found the self reflection exercise that she shared so powerful. Naming 3 things that you're an expert on, 3 friends you can call right now, and what experiences have made you more interesting since your 20s is so eye-opening. I don't know if you ever feel like you're boring or you're not enough, I really hope that you try that exercise. It's a great reminder of who you actually are. And finally, I really appreciated her take on texting. If you don't know what someone means, just ask them. We spend so much time analyzing texts with friends when we could just say, "What do you mean by that?" The right person will respect you for asking. All right, those are my takeaways. Again, I'd love to hear from you. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you for trusting me. If you know someone who is navigating dating and could use a confidence boost or fresh perspective, share this episode with them. And if this podcast has helped you, a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify goes a long way. Once again, I'm Talia. This is Dating Intentionally, and I'll catch you next time.
Okay, I hope you love that episode as much as I did. And another thing you might have heard in that episode is, what does it mean to date intentionally, right? Because I think the contrast is, well, how do you date with NATO, but then also not wanting to find yourself in a long-term relationship? Because that's what dating intentionally will lead to. And I really like the definition that is disclosed in the episode, which is dating intentionally sometimes gets overcomplicated, but it's all about putting yourself out there efficiently and productively. You're making sure who's aligned with you, kind of just putting yourself out there in an interaction without losing yourself or spiraling after every interaction. So it doesn't mean that you need to rush it or you need to force outcomes. And it definitely doesn't mean you need to abandon your standards. It just means being honest about what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how you're showing up. So like I said, I will do a deeper debrief on this later because there's a lot here and I have thoughts, and it would be nice to actually discuss it head on with Talia when she comes on Lovely. I hope this episode helped you reframe where you are in your dating journey and reminds you that you're not behind. You're just, following the process. So if you have questions for Talia, write to me on Instagram and I'll make sure to unpack those when she comes on. Anyways, as always, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. And I will talk to you very soon next week on More Lovely. Lovely is an Immigrantly media production. This episode was produced by Sadia Khan and Shay Yu, written by me, Mahek. Theme music, sound design, and editing by Lou Raskin. Other music is by Epidemic Sound. Tune in every Friday for more Lovely.